Chapter 071. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Oriole's about to swoop in and grab that supreme bone, right where Yangxing has to pass. Su Chuan and Su Miaoyin are hiding. Senior brother Su, what are we doing here? Su Miaoyin asks, all curious, waiting for the guy who snatched the supreme bone. Su Chuan says, stretching like a cat, he decided not to chase Yangxing. Instead, he cut him off at the pass. Too many people are dogging Yangxing's heels. It's too risky to get mixed up in that, better to just wait for him here, seriously. Su Miaoyin's jaw drops. You think he can outrun all those people? Isn't he only at the first level of the supernatural power realm? She continues. Some of those chasing him are Nirvana realm fighters. Su Miaoyin saw Yangxing grab the supreme bone and someone help him block a couple of nasty hits, but she still doubts Yangxing can survive being hunted by so many people. Su Chuan grins. Don't underestimate him just because he's a low level. That guy's got tricks to stay alive. Even I'm not sure I could take him head on. Su Miaoyin furrows her brow, looking a little unsure, but if Su Chuan says so, she trusts him. No questions asked, here he comes. Su Chuan says, eyes lighting up ahead. Yangxing stumbles into view, leaning against a tree, face pale. A trickle of blood drips from the corner of his mouth, his clothes are ripped to shreds, and his body's a roadmap of cuts and bruises, knife wounds, sword wounds, fist and palm prints, nothing fatal, but he looks like he's been through a meat grinder. Finally got the supreme bone. He pulled out all the stops to shake off the pursuers, and now, clutching his prize, Yangxing is ecstatic. He not only got the nod from the half-emperor's lingering spirit but also snagged the supreme bone with its help, a little painful, sure, but totally worth it. He can't help but let out a whoop of joy. But the grin tugs at his wounds, turning it into a wince. Zhang Yun, I'm coming for you. If I don't get revenge, my name isn't Yangxing. Zhang Yun, that jerk, caused two of the worst injuries. Sure, Shui Yichen's move knocked him sideways, but Zhang Yun, with his 6th level Nirvana realm cultivation, was quick on the uptake, making up ground fast. Since nobody was blocking him, just when Zhang Yun was about to pounce, Yangxing pulled another rabbit out of his hat, vanishing in the blink of an eye. He got away, but the attack still left him hurting. The memory of Zhang Yun's sneering face is like pouring gasoline on a fire. He hates being looked down on more than anything. Then, he remembers how Su Chuan embarrassed him. Yeah, that's it. Su Chuan's victory over Gong Lin made him the laughingstock. Never mind that he was outmatched. Nope, he blames Su Chuan for everything. And you, Su Chuan. Just you wait. Once I fuse with this supreme bone, soak up the Emperor's senior realm martial arts experience, and master Shui Lao's techniques, I'll grind you into the dirt. Just you wait. He roars, letting out all his pent-up rage and frustration. Hidden nearby, Su Chuan can only roll his eyes. What did he even do? Why the hate? Is the chosen one really this petty? Senior brother Su, does he have something against you? Su Miaoyin asks, puzzled by Yangxing's outburst. Su Chuan shrugs. Not really. The guy's got issues. Can't stand anyone being better than him. Su Miaoyin gets it now. Jealousy, disgust fills her as she looks at Yangxing. She can't stand people like that. If someone like that ever crossed her, she wouldn't show an ounce of mercy. Yangxing has no idea he just earned the animosity of a future empress. He's patching himself up, ready to bolt. He's not far from the burial grounds. Zhang Yun and his crew will catch up any minute. He can't stick around. Suddenly, he picks up on the faintest ripple of energy behind him. Who's there? He spins around, sword drawn, the blade slices through the air, cutting through trees, but hitting nothing. Yangxing stays on high alert. Just as he's about to take another swing, a fist slams into his head. Boom, star, caught completely off guard, he takes the full brunt of the blow. The sound echoes through the forest, his head snaps back, and his body tumbles from the tree, landing upside down, head buried in the dirt. Before he feels any pain, he blacks out. Easy peasy. Su Chuan steps out from behind the tree. He'd timed his approach perfectly, but the jade talisman flared up, tipping Yangxing off. He had no choice but to brain him. He didn't expect Yangxing to go down with one hit. color him surprised, sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit so hard. Chuan says, looking down at Yang Sheng, if Yang Sheng could hear him, he'd probably choke on his own blood. Su Miaoyin covers her mouth, giggling. Senior brother Su, didn't you say you weren't sure you could beat him? How come he can't even take a punch? Chuan sheepishly grins, guess the chosen one isn't as tough as he thought, but he forgets that Yang Sheng is exhausted and beaten up from being chased by a mob. His mind was stretched to the limit, and he barely scraped through. His guard was at its lowest. How could he withstand a full-force punch? Chuan picks up the supreme bone, wiping off the dirt, then, he stashes it in his storage ring. He walks over to Yang Sheng, rips off his storage ring, shatters the seal, and empties it out. The ring is overflowing with goodies, a treasure trove of rare items. You really are the chosen one, look at all this stuff. Chuan marvels. After all his struggling, he doesn't even have a third of what Yang Sheng has stashed away. The disparity is infuriating. Chuan helps himself to the treasure without a second thought, then, he tosses the empty storage ring away. According to the system, the half-emperor's spirit is inside. No thanks, who wants a wisecracking old ghost following them around? Even to the bathroom? The thought gives Chuan the creeps. He can't kill the spirit outright, so he just dumps it. With that done, Chuan grabs Su Miaoyin's hand, and they disappear into the trees. Best not to linger. Someone will be here any minute. As for Yang Sheng, he'll figure it out. The chosen one doesn't die that easily. Chapter 072. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fusion of the Supreme Bone, 5th level of magical power. What Chuan didn't count on was the storage ring he tossed away flying right back into Yang Sheng's hand. Clearly, the two were linked and couldn't be separated. Who hit me? An hour after Chuan and the others took off, Yang Sheng finally came to. Yanking his head out of the dirt, the first thing he did was frantically scan his surroundings for the jerk who'd sucker punched him, but Chuan was long gone, so that was a bust. Then it hit him. The Supreme Bone. Where's the Supreme Bone I managed to snag? He started frantically searching everywhere, still nothing. He slumped to the ground, staring blankly at the sky, lost in thought. He went to open the storage ring for a healing elixir to fix himself up. That's when he discovered something even worse. Who the heck stole everything from my storage ring? They didn't even leave me my clothes. Just let me find out who did this, and I swear, we're going to have it out. That the empty storage ring broke what was left of his spirit. He roared at the sky, letting out all his grief and rage. Then, he sensed violent energy spikes in the distance, snapping him back to reality. Oh, crap. They're coming. His face went pale, as if on cue. Powerful auras, filled with lethal intent, started closing in on him. There were even more guys chasing him now than before, and some of those auras were crazy strong. How long was I out? They shouldn't be catching up this fast. He didn't have time to worry about who knocked him out and stole his stuff. He just had to get out of there. Yang Sheng knew he was dead if they caught him, because the supreme bone they wanted was gone, and Yang Sheng couldn't exactly cough it up, but who would believe him? If they caught him, he was toast. My master said there's a place around here where anyone who goes in has to go through a trial. Looks like that's my only shot. Yang Sheng thought as he ran. He couldn't afford to freak out. He took a deep breath and used a stealth technique, then bolted toward the trial area. Still, he felt a pang of frustration and sadness. He'd finally gotten his hands on the supreme bone, only to have it snatched away, along with everything else he owned. Now he had to deal with a bunch of angry warriors hunting him down for something he didn't even have. And the mystery attacker got away scot-free. He was losing on every front. I, Yang Sheng, swear I'll find you and make you pay, he vowed, gritting his teeth in fury. There he is. Hurry, after him. He can't get away. Kill him. The supreme bone's on him. Kill him, and you get the supreme bone. Don't let him slip away again. Someone had spotted Yang Sheng up ahead. The shout went up instantly. The murderous cries echoed in his ears. Yang Sheng panicked even more. He didn't even dare to look back. He was afraid they'd be right on him and rip him apart. He sprinted as fast as he could, desperately hoping to reach the trial area his master had told him about. We will stop updating novels on this site. Move to our new site, https://readwn.com// Meanwhile, Su Chuan was strolling along. With Su Miaoyin, they hadn't run into any other warriors. That's because everyone was chasing after the supreme bone. They were all after Yang Sheng. They came to a cave. After checking it out, Su Chuan decided to fuse with the supreme bone right there. Junior sister Miaoyin, could you keep an eye out? I'm going to fuse with the supreme bone. Su Chuan asked Su Miaoyin. With their intimacy level at 90, he trusted her completely. Of course, senior brother Su. I'll watch your back. Su Miaoyin nodded. She had no interest in the supreme bone. The Phoenix clan's inherited memories were countless. She already knew tons of emperor-level techniques and heaven-level martial arts that were a perfect fit for her. She didn't need the supreme bone, and the phoenix fruit Su Chuan gave her had already cleansed her marrow, improved her veins, and purified her blood. Su Chuan sat down in the cave, cross-legged. He calmed himself and centered his focus, after a stick of incense had burned. Here we go. Whoosh. Su Chuan opened his eyes, and with a flick of his wrist, the supreme bone materialized in his hand. He took a good look at it. It was a golden color, with intricate runes carved all over it. It looked mysterious and powerful beyond words. Do it. Boom. Su Chuan shouted, and the supreme bone transformed into golden light and plunged into his body. Boom. 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 Aya! A scream ripped from Su Chuan's throat. His body was convulsing as if his soul was being torn apart. His powerful sun body began to crack, and blood flowed from the wounds. The pain was almost unbearable, but Su Chuan refused to give in. His eyes blazed with determination as he started to refine the supreme bone. Just a piece of bone, huh? You think you can break me? Su Chuan said through gritted teeth. Then he channeled Xianyang Ju with everything he had. He lost track of how much time passed. Finally, the pain faded. Then, a flood of information poured into his mind. A towering figure appeared in his consciousness. Su Chuan knew it was the former owner of the supreme bone. He calmed himself and stared at the figure. The figure's entire journey, from childhood to martial arts master, played out in Su Chuan's mind. He began to understand and absorb it all: the body tempering realm, the energy absorption realm, the transformation realm, the supernatural power realm, and then the nirvana realm. Su Chuan absorbed the martial arts experience from each stage. His own shortcomings started to fade away. The martial arts experience after the nirvana realm was automatically sealed in his mind. The huge amount of energy inside the supreme bone began to release. Su Chuan used Xianyang Ju to absorb and refine it. His cultivation started to skyrocket. The peak of the first level of the magical power realm, second level of the magical power realm, third level of magical power. He kept going until he reached the fifth level of the magical realm. He gained martial arts experience from an emperor senior realm master and became a martial artist at the fifth level of the divine power realm. The only thing he didn't get was the emperor's inheritance, maybe because the supreme bone was meant for someone else. Chapter 073. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stepping out of his secluded training, Su Chuan felt the shift. With his cultivation now solid, Su Chuan ended his training session. At the fifth level of magical power, Su Chuan felt confident enough to bulldoze his way through this ancient palace world. Time to ditch the low profile. He'd accomplished most of his goals for this trip. Only one thing remained. He needed to head to the heart of the ancient palace world and tackle the golden ancient palace trial. Rumor had it the trial offered considerable rewards to participants. He also wanted to see how far he could get. Straightening his clothes, Su Chuan stood. Su Miaoyin was asleep, leaning against the stone wall. She'd been guarding him all night during his training, staying up to watch over him. When she first saw Su Chuan in so much pain, she was scared. She only relaxed when Su Chuan began absorbing martial arts experience. And then she kept watch. Eventually, she couldn't fight the sleep any longer and dozed off against the wall. Su Chuan had spent 5 days fusing with the supreme bone this time. Seeing how exhausted she was, Su Chuan didn't want to wake her. He just watched her sleep quietly. Su Miaoyin finally stirred around 3 in the morning. The moment she opened her eyes, she saw Su Chuan smiling and staring at her. She jumped up like a startled rabbit. Senior brother Su, when did you finish? How long was I asleep? Su Miaoyin asked, smoothing her hair. Just finished. You were sleeping so soundly. I didn't want to wake you, Su Chuan said, smiling. I was really out of it. Su Miaoyin said sheepishly. It's all good. Let's go. You've spent so much time with me, it's time you looked for some opportunities for yourself. Su Chuan waved his hand, not bothered at all. If she'd kept him company for so many days and he was still complaining, he'd be a jerk. Where are we going? Su Miaoyin asked, curious. Somewhere good, where everyone can find something. Seeing her curiosity, Su Chuan couldn't resist teasing her, playing it mysterious. Oh, come on, senior brother Su, just tell me. The more mysterious he acted, the more curious she became. She actually grabbed Su Chuan's arm and started acting cutesy. Okay, I'll tell you. Su Chuan couldn't handle it and quickly pulled his arm away. There's a trial area in the center of this world. Anyone who enters gets pulled in. Each level you pass gets you a reward. The rewards include rare treasures, weapons, and inheritances. Each level's rewards are different, but they're all top-tier stuff. Su Chuan patiently explained. He finally understood. Su Miaoyin had decided to wander around looking for opportunities here without a clue about what the Golden Ancient Palace even was. He wondered how her master had let her come in so blindly. Su Chuan shook his head, chuckling. Oh, I get it. Su Miaoyin said, finally understanding. Then let's go, senior brother Su. We're going to be late, and all the good stuff will be gone. With that, she grabbed Su Chuan's hand and they headed out of the cave together. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the woods ahead, blocking Su Chuan and Su Miaoyin. Well, who do we have here? Isn't it Su Chuan, the new top disciple of the famous Tai Holy Land? Still kicking, huh? The man wore a black robe and a black hat that covered his face. His voice was hoarse, but he emphasized the words, Tai Holy Land true successor, with bitter emphasis. Who are you and why are you stopping us? Su Chuan asked, frowning. For some reason, the guy seemed vaguely familiar. Su de Zhenzuan is too important to remember everyone. You forgot me so quickly. You might have forgotten me, but I remember you perfectly. Take a good look at who I am. He finished and pulled off the hood, revealing the face underneath, and what a face it was. Covered in horrifying gashes, with gruesome scars and red marks everywhere. A kid would probably burst into tears if they saw it. Seeing the face, Su Chuan frowned deeper. The guy didn't look like anyone he could remember, especially with those horrific scars. Who are you? Su Chuan asked sharply, losing patience. Who am I? I am Su Chen. Su Chuan, how dare you not recognize me? Su Chen flew into a rage when he heard Su Chuan didn't recognize him. He roared. Su Chen? Su Chuan was taken aback. A figure slowly surfaced in his mind. Su Chen had left the Holy Land after losing to him in the competition. While Su Chen wasn't exactly handsome before, he wasn't nearly as hideous as he was now. Su Chuan wondered what he'd been through. What are you doing? You want to know how I ended up like this, right? It's all your fault. All your fault. You're the one who made me like this. Su Chen got more and more worked up, finally letting out a hysterical scream. After the competition, unable to accept his failure, he'd been tempted by inner demons, killed patrolling disciples, betrayed the Holy Land, and joined the demonic side. To gain power, he'd sold his soul to the demons. After going through unspeakable torture, he'd finally gained incredible strength. But the price for that power was the destruction of his body and a voice that was now horribly grating. He was barely human anymore. He didn't dare show his face in public. Anyone who saw him was disgusted and repulsed. He blamed Su Chuan for everything. If Su Chuan hadn't taken his first place and his true inheritance spot, he wouldn't be like this now. The intense hatred had driven him to survive the devil's inhuman torture. The first thing he decided to do after gaining strength was to get revenge on Su Chuan, so he'd hidden his identity, mingled among the rogue cultivators, and entered the Golden Ancient Palace to capture Su Chuan, torture him, and then kill him. And then he would kill everyone who mattered to him. Only then would the anger and hatred in his heart finally be quenched. Are you nuts? Su Chuan was confused. What did he have to do with any of this? Wasn't Su Chen the one to blame? Humph, you're going to die today. Su Chen sneered, his eyes growing darker. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to Su Chuan, he just wanted to capture him and torture him. As soon as he finished speaking, a corrupt and repulsive aura radiated from Su Chen's body. Su Chuan thought, he felt a sense of danger and a familiar feeling from the aura. He'd encountered this aura somewhere before, that's right. He remembered, he'd felt this aura from the remnants of the demonic path before, but it wasn't as strong and disgusting as Su Chen's. Su Chuan understood instantly, Su Chen had joined the demon clan and become a remnant of the demonic path. Chapter 074. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chuan's face tightened. He hadn't expected Su Chen, the supposed chosen one, to sell out to the demon clan, apparently trading his soul for a power boost. A quick scan revealed Su Chen's stats. Name, Su Chen. Realm, Nirvana level 8. Talent, Center of Attention. Fate, Son of Luck, Demon Transformation, turns bad luck around. Purple, blessed by the demon ancestor. Purple, mentally unstable. White. Supernatural power, demon ancestor's gift. Life script, demonized state, script. Unavailable. Life track, demonized state, track unavailable. Called it, his hunch was right. Su Chen not only joined the demon clan, but straight up sold his soul to the demon ancestor. Now he was basically a walking corpse with a mission, and that mission was revenge on Su Chuan. Even if he hadn't earned it the hard way, that Nirvana level 8 power was still seriously intimidating. They say going dark makes you 10 times stronger, while going light makes you 3 times weaker. Su Chuan knew he had to tread carefully. Just as Su Chuan was running the diagnostics, Su Chen unleashed his aura, diving headfirst into demonization, his innate ability, a gift from the demon ancestor. Su Chen's eyes turned bloodshot, his body ballooned to over 15 feet, skin like black tar. 3 eyes and a bloody maw sprouted on his head, 4 extra arms shot out of his torso, each of them long enough to swat a fly from across the street. Su Chen had become a straight-up nightmare creature, unearthly roars ripped from his throat. Su Chuan, I'm gonna kill you. Fully demonized, Su Chen locked eyes on Su Chuan, the force of his Nirvana level 8 power radiating outward. Guess I can't let you live, Su Chuan muttered. Miaoyin, step back. This demon's mine. That he yanked out the god-slaying sword, signaling Su Miaoyin to give him room. He was going to put down Su Chen, the so-called chosen one, once and for all. Let's see who's gonna stop him. Before Su Chen could even throw the first punch, Su Chuan, Heaven-tier sword in hand, closed the distance and struck with lightning speed. Boom, starred out a blade of pure energy, powerful enough to split mountains, slammed into the eye in the center of demon Su Chen's forehead. At that range, there was no dodging for the monster, his body swollen with demon energy. Star. The sword energy ripped straight through the giant eye, splattering it into chunks. Arg. Raerg. A shriek of pain mixed with a beastly roar echoed through the air. Wounded, Su Chen retaliated. 2 thick arms shot out, clamping down on Su Chuan's sword, while the other 2 lunged for Su Chuan himself. Rarark. Die. 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 Seeing his attack about to connect, demonized Su Chen lost it, chanting die over and over. Humph. Su Chuan scoffed, twisting his wrist, unleashing a wave of sword intent that sliced through one of demonized Su Chen's arms. Then, fist clenched, he unleashed the first form of the Haori divine fist, his fist blazing with sun true flame, punching clean through the other 2 incoming arms. Immediately after, Su Chuan pulled back, using the golden crow transformation to create some breathing room. Rarer. Down 3 arms in the blink of an eye, demonized Su Chen roared in agony, blindly searching for Su Chuan, but with his main eye gone, he flailed like a chicken with its head cut off. Su Chuan, meanwhile, hung back, hidden in the surrounding space thanks to the golden crow transformation, sizing up the raging demon. Demonization pushed him up to Nirvana level 9. After the brief exchange, Su Chuan had a good idea of what he was up against, and during that time, he noticed something disturbing. The arm he'd sliced off was starting to regenerate, even the eyeball was growing back. A chill ran down his spine. That's some scary fast healing. It was like Su Chen had become immortal. No matter how bad the damage, he just bounced back. It reminded him of a monster from one of the sect's old books, warriors with off-the-charts luck, sacrificing their souls for the demon ancestors' blessing, warping their bodies into something else. The key was a life core. That core was the heart of the twisted transformation, the source of everything. As long as it was intact, these things couldn't die. You could beat them to a pulp, and they'd just put themselves back together, but shatter the core, and even without a scratch, the monster would die for good. Of course, the book also mentioned that because the core was so important, it was always hidden away in the safest place on the monster's body, hard to find, let alone crush. But Chuan knew that if he dragged this out, he was going to lose. He didn't have the luxury of that kind of healing. He needed to find that core, and Chuan made up his mind and went on the offensive. Sword light flashed. He used the god-slaying sword technique, sending waves of energy crashing toward demonized Chuan. This time, demonized Chuan was ready. He crossed his four arms into a shield, blocking Chuan's attack. Hoo. Die. I'm gonna kill you. That seeing that he could block Chuan's attack made him excited. Senior brother Su, his life core is under the armpit of his front left arm. Su Miaoyin shouted. She obviously recognized the demon in front of them. Her family history told her that the core was under the armpit. Chuan's eyes lit up, knowing where it was gave him the edge. Even at Nirvana level 9, Chuan couldn't survive a direct hit. Die. Chuan's eyes were cold, staring at the spot under demonized Chuan's arm. He raised his sword, a wave of murderous intent rolling off him. Cut. A surge of power, a world-ending strike, shot toward Chuan's vital spot. The intent was to kill the core, but not the man. No. As if he knew what was coming, demonized Chuan let out a howl of despair. He slowly crumpled to the ground. With the core gone, the demonization faded, and his body returned to its normal state. Why did I still lose? I can't accept this. With that, Chuan drew his last breath. In the blink of an eye, his body turned to a pool of foul-smelling pus. Chapter 075. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So far, Chuan, the so-called son of luck, is dead at Chuan's hands. As Chuan died, the system immediately pinged with notifications. You've slain a child of luck, earning the title Child of Luck Hunter and qualifying for a high-level destiny draw. Draw now. You've eliminated a destined one, rewriting your own story and qualifying for a high-level destiny draw. Draw now. You vanquished a son of fortune, plundering his luck and qualifying for a top-tier destiny draw. Draw now. The probability of pulling a golden destiny from the top-tier draw is 90%. Chuan was bombarded by system prompts. Once the information sunk in, elation washed over him. 2 high-level destiny draws. Plus a shot at a top-tier destiny, with a 90% chance of landing a golden one. Jackpot. He thought, grinning ear to ear. He'd only ever qualified for a basic destiny draw since getting the system, and that single time, he'd pulled the red destiny, Peerless World. Now, with 2 advanced and 1 top-tier draw, what kind of power would he gain? Anticipation surged. Let's start with a high-level destiny extraction. That he wondered if his own luck would get a boost. Fingers crossed, Chuan tapped the extraction button. Destiny extraction in progress. Please wait. The system message flashed. Chuan waited, barely containing his excitement. Finally, extraction complete. Congratulations. You've obtained the purple destiny, One Punch Wonder. One Punch Wonder, a normal punch deals 50 times the damage. When using specialized punches, the damage increase is halved. Despite bracing himself, Chuan was stunned into silence. Then he took a deep breath. Brutal. This purple destiny would multiply his punch damage by 50. Even his House Sun Divine Fist would pack 25 times the punch. Unbelievable. Enemies would underestimate him when they saw his light punches and wouldn't expect those same hits to easily kill them. This, One Punch Wonder, destiny, combined with Chuan's 100-fold talent boost, would unleash terrifying power. He could kill an opponent with one punch, no need to find the life core. Score, that his first high-level draw was a major win. New destiny assembled. Please review. A new system prompt appeared. Chuan felt a foreign power surge into his fist, capable of incredible destruction. As the destiny assembled, Chuan felt a chill on his head. He patted his head, found nothing, and moved on. Again, that his luck was peaking, and he had to strike while the iron was hot. Chuan tapped the extraction button again. The system message reappeared, and this time Chuan was calmer. With the purple destiny already in hand, even if the next pull was trash, he would be okay. Time passed. Suddenly, a flash of purple, the second advanced destiny extraction was complete. Congratulations! You've obtained the purple destiny Blade and Soul. Blade and Soul. When holding a blade, you are the blade, and the blade is you, granting you profound understanding of sword techniques. You can learn any swordplay in minimal time, see through flaws in the opponent's swordsmanship, and seize the opportunity for a one-hit kill. Whoa! Chuan clicked his tongue. Another top-tier purple destiny. Just reading the introduction made Chuan's blood race. He was a swordsman with a heaven-level killing god sword. He even awakened the Blade Soul seed. Now, with the Blade and Soul destiny, his understanding of the sword would hit a new level. He might even surpass his master, Lin, who was obsessed with the art of swords. Two top purple destinies in a row exceeded Chuan's expectations. New destiny assembled. Please review. As the prompts appeared, Chuan felt his body shifting. Countless insights about swords flooded his mind. The killing god sword felt like a natural extension of his arm, no longer as unwieldy as before. Even the sword soul seeds in his sea of consciousness were changing and transforming into a true martial arts soul. One good thing after another. Chuan had never felt this elated. Only one top destiny draw remained. He could only imagine what power he would gain. Chuan took a deep breath, adjusting his mindset. He reminded himself, the next step is the highlight, that he cashed in his last opportunity to draw his destiny without hesitation. There was a 90% chance of drawing a golden destiny. With his current luck, it was practically guaranteed. The moment Chuan clicked to extract, the fate roulette whirled to life. Golden light and streaks of purple flashed around it. As the roulette spun, Chuan's heart pounded. Staring at the pointer of the roulette wheel, these few seconds seemed like years. Finally, the wheel slowed, and the pointer danced through the shining areas. Finally, it landed on the last golden destiny area. One hair more, and it would have landed in the purple zone. Seeing it was a golden destiny, Chuan breathed a sigh of relief. Even though the odds were high, he couldn't help being nervous. Congratulations. You've received the golden destiny, Martial Sage. Martial Sage, the road to martial arts is open, leading directly to the peak. You easily learn all kinds of martial arts, gain insight beyond ordinary people, and experience accelerated martial arts practice. Chapter 076. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hiss. Staring at those four shimmering golden words, martial arts and gods, even Chuan, who'd seen his share of crazy stuff, sucked in a few breaths. Direct access to the heavenly king realm. The ability to master any martial arts technique. Those two things alone blew Chuan's expectations out of the water. And it speeds up my training? That's insane. New destiny assembled. Please review. As the system notification popped up, Chuan felt a rush of power surge through him. Suddenly, his understanding of martial arts skyrocketed. The Suzaku fire control technique, which he'd barely grasped before, was now at the minor success level. The path of martial arts practice, which had been fuzzy, was now crystal clear. Even better, Chuan could practically see his path straight to the heavenly king realm. No obstacles whatsoever. Even though past opportunities had toughened him up, he'd still only been capable of reaching the heavenly king realm. Each realm had its own set of hurdles. But now, with the martial arts and God's golden destiny, those hurdles were gone. As long as he kept training, he was guaranteed to become a major player in the heavenly king realm. Plus, Chuan felt his cultivation speed had kicked into high gear. Before, it was like a steady river, constant and reliable. Now, it was a raging torrent. A massive upgrade. This is nuts. I've never seen a golden destiny this powerful, that made by the system. It's gotta be top tier. Feeling the changes in his body, Chuan mused to himself, then he checked his stats. Name, Chuan. Realm, 5th level of divine power realm. Talent, unparalleled. Destiny, defy heaven's will. Gold, martial arts and gods. Gold, sun sacred body. Gold, one punch man. Purple, human knife fusion. Purple, sword soul seed. Red, peerless rebirth. Red. Abilities. Golden crow rainbow transformation. Sun true fire, 100-fold amplification. Life script, you have defied heaven, the future is obscured. Life trajectory, you have defied heaven, past and future are unreadable. Looking at his profile, Chuan nodded, satisfied. Now this feels like a protagonist origin story. A huge leap from when I first got the system. Thinking back to those days, it's enough to make anyone cry. But this is just the beginning. I'm only going to get stronger, and my destiny's only going to get wilder. One day, I'll be the strongest warrior, period. Chuan felt a surge of pride, blurting out his ambitions. After a moment, he snapped back to reality. He scanned his surroundings. The place was trashed from his fight with Su Chen. Not far off, Su Miaoyin was rushing toward him, looking worried. Su Chen's freakout had freaked her out. She'd never seen anything like it. Knowing she couldn't do much to help, she'd been silently praying for Su Chuan's safety, but she secretly vowed to train twice as hard from now on. Only then could she really support senior brother Su and not be a liability. Thankfully, Su Chuan had pulled through and taken down Su Chen. Senior brother Su, are you okay? Su Miaoyin asked anxiously. After Su Chuan finished off Su Chen, he just stood there. She'd thought he was injured, so she'd hurried over. I'm fine. I just realized I took down that monster so fast thanks to your tip. Su Chuan said, smiling. Su Miaoyin ignored him. She checked him over from head to toe, finally relaxing when she saw he wasn't hurt. Then, she seemed to notice something, starting to speak but then stopping herself. What's wrong? Su Chuan asked, curious. Su Miaoyin looked hesitant and confused. You seem different, but I can't put my finger on it. Before, you were like a fire, but now it's like you're a sun in the sky, super bright. She frowned, explaining to Su Chuan. Su Chuan was taken aback. He hadn't expected Su Miaoyin to pick up on his changes. Is this the Empress of Destiny's talent? Seriously sharp intuition. Regaining his composure, Su Chuan chalked the changes up to his destiny and said with a smile, how about now? Hey, it's gone, Su Miaoyin exclaimed, surprised. That indescribable feeling had vanished without a trace. For a moment, she wondered if she'd imagined it. Su Chuan smiled faintly. He took Su Miaoyin's hand. Don't worry about it. Let's head to the trial grounds. Okay, Su Miaoyin responded shyly to Su Chuan's touch, putting the issue out of her mind. Soon, they left together. Meanwhile, Yang Xing's situation was completely different, because everyone was convinced the supreme bone was inside him. He was being hunted by a ton of warriors, and the more he traveled, the more warriors learned about it, and the bigger the mob chasing him got. Several times, he barely escaped with his life, only managing to get away by using secret techniques. This made him burn with hatred for the person who stole the supreme bone. He wanted to flay him alive, tear out his tendons, and torment his soul. He had to figure out why the thief had only robbed him, but not killed him. Even though he had the chance, he wanted him to take the fall. Stop chasing me. The supreme bone isn't on me. I told you, someone else took it. Why won't you believe me? Yang Xing yelled, turning to face his pursuers, his face dark with frustration. After running for so long, he was completely exhausted. Now, all he wanted was to find the trial ground so he could ditch these guys. You say it's not on you. Who's gonna believe that? Don't listen to him. This is just a delaying tactic. He's about to drop. Kill him. Seriously, a level 1 divine power realm guy shouldn't be this fast. When I catch him, I'm gonna make him suffer. With that, the mob redoubled their efforts. Yang Xing was furious, but he could only grit his teeth and keep running. Finally, Yang Xing saw the trial grounds his master had told him about. The place was a desolate wasteland, barely any vegetation, and even less vitality. Most people wouldn't come here at all. Only those in the know would venture in. Finally, as soon as he stepped onto the trial grounds, Yangxing collapsed, gasping for breath. Once you were here, you were safe. Anyone who stepped onto the grounds was protected by a formation. Fighting was prohibited. Violators would be kicked out by the formation spirit and, in serious cases, might even be killed. His master had told him all this before he entered the Golden Ancient Palace. That's why he was so confident resting here without a care in the world. Chapter 077. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He's about to drop. Someone yelled. Hurry, but the guys chasing Yangxing cheered, thinking he was finally spent, but as they eagerly stepped into the trial area, ready to pounce, a booming voice echoed in their ears. Fighting is forbidden within the trial grounds. Violators will be executed without mercy. The icy, ruthless tone stopped them cold. They all sheathed their weapons. Seeing his chance, Yangxing leaped to his feet. Ha! Come on, keep chasing. Bunch of losers. He'd been running for his life, and now he was desperate to vent. Giving up already? You were so tough a minute ago. Keep it coming. Yangxing taunted them, acting like a complete jerk. Arg! I can't take it anymore. One hot-headed prodigy from a small sect couldn't handle the humiliation. He'd never been taught to like that. Snatching out his sword, he charged at Yangxing, but before his sword could even reach him, *bam, a lightning bolt blasted down from the sky, turning him to ash in an instant. Repeat, fighting is forbidden within the trial grounds. Violators will be executed without mercy. The voice returned. This time, nobody dared to move. They could only stand there and watch Yangxing rub it in. They weren't about to become lightning bait. The two sides glared at each other, a tense standoff where no one dared to make a move. The atmosphere was thick with animosity. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down from the heavens, engulfing everyone. Ding. A clear chime resonated from within the light, followed by the same massive, merciless voice. The Golden Ancient Palace's 10th inheritance trial will commence in 3 days. The announcement reached everyone present, and rippled out across the entire ancient palace world, reaching every living warrior. Inheritance trial. Excitement exploded in the crowd. Deep in the mountains, a powerful young man, fresh from ripping apart a Nirvana-level monster, dropped his kill. A golden glint flashed in his eyes. The inheritance trial is finally here. This time, I'm claiming that final inheritance. His wild aura surged. He stomped down, shattering the ground, and used the force to propel himself hundreds of feet in an instant. A few more leaps, and he vanished. Elsewhere, a bald little monk swung his staff, each blow felling a monster. After each kill, he chanted a prayer for the departed soul. Hearing the announcement, he stopped. Amitba. To gain the inheritance, one must slay evil. This poor monk shall go and save those who commit murder. With that, he dashed toward the light, and they weren't alone. Hidden geniuses all across the land emerged, all converging on the light pillar. Meanwhile, Su Chuan and Su Miaoyin also heard the voice. Senior brother Su, is the light pillar the place you mentioned? Su Miaoyin asked, surprised. Yes. We need to move faster and get inside before the trial starts. He took off, pulling Su Miaoyin along. 2 days later, they finally arrived at the trial site. It was packed with people, all gearing up for the inheritance trial. The moment they stepped inside, they received the rules for the trial, the most important one. Fighting before the trial is a big no-no. You will be killed. The trial grounds contained all the inheritances of the Golden Ancient Palace, some good, some not so much. But the rewards for passing were huge. No wonder everyone was rushing here. Su Chuan scanned the information on the inheritances and rewards, and couldn't help but gasp. Hundreds of thousands of inheritances, countless rewards. The lowest level inheritances had all been left behind by reincarnation realm warriors. The rewards included everything he could imagine. The sheer wealth and power were incredible. Su Chuan stared at the light beam, his eyes burning. He was dying to know more about the origins of the Golden Ancient Palace, but what really blew his mind. The highest level inheritance was all about the Golden Ancient Palace itself. Anyone who passed that trial could inherit the palace master's power and claim the golden ancient palace as their own. Su Chuan's breath caught in his throat, the golden ancient palace. It could vaporize even a half-step Emperor Zun, just how powerful was its owner. Su Chuan didn't even want to think about it. Yang Xing's big break was the inheritance of this palace master, it was what launched him to the top. Su Chuan's eyes glowed with a golden light. We can't let Yang Xing get that supreme inheritance. Su Chuan couldn't be sure if Yang Xing would figure out that he'd stolen his supreme bone once he had the golden ancient palace, but just in case, he couldn't let Yang Xing get his hands on it. Nearby, Yang Xing spotted Su Chuan, seeing that his clothes were clean and undamaged, and that he had a beautiful woman by his side. Yang Xing was consumed by jealousy. Why does he get to be fine and have a pretty girl with him, while I get chased by a mob? It's not fair. He raged silently, his jealousy overflowing. The day passed, and warriors from across the ancient palace world flocked to the site, everyone except those too weak or too far to make it in time. Clang. 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 *3 bell chimes echoed through the trial area, and across the world, every warrior there felt the refreshing sound and looked skyward. After the chimes faded, they felt their energy surge, reaching their peak condition. It was incredible. Then, the voice returned. The inheritance trial begins now. As soon as the words were spoken, the light pillar exploded with blinding light, enveloping everyone. Then, darkness. They had been transported to another place. The beam of light had brought them to the real trial grounds. It was a vast, empty space stretching as far as the eye could see, no mountains, no water, not even natural light. The only light source was the beam of light itself. After adjusting to the new environment, the warriors were like hungry dogs unleashed, charging off in every direction. They'd all received the briefing on the trial's dangers and had prepared themselves. Now, the hunt was on. Chapter 078. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crazy killing. Turns out there were changes to the inheritance trial. Su Chuan had already learned the new rules. In this trial, warriors like them would face waves of attacks from unknown creatures. After each wave, survivors would automatically advance. Those on death's door would be instantly teleported out, forfeiting their chance to continue. Clearing a level meant a random reward. It could be an inheritance, rare resources, or magical weapons. Killing enemies earned points during each wave. These points could be traded for items in the reward pool. More points, better rewards. Fewer points, fewer options. Right now, everything was priced, except for the top prize, the golden ancient palace master's inheritance. Everything else was up for grabs. Su Chuan had even spotted supreme bones and imperial weapons on the list. The other warriors had clearly noticed this too. As soon as the trial began, everyone was itching for a fight. Heh heh, that a chilling sound echoed in the darkness. Then, illuminated by the light pillar, a vast, black river stretched for miles, surging toward them. The overwhelming dark energy was terrifying. Weaker warriors were paralyzed by fear. Su Chuan's expression turned serious as he got a closer look. Demons. Even the weakest sinking demon was as strong as a warrior in the transformation realm, and there were at least 10,000. They charged in a line, crashing into the warriors. All hell broke loose. Even some geniuses dropped the pretense and started fighting tooth and nail against these fallen demons. Yang Xing was in the thick of it, killing like a man possessed. The sinking demons weren't individually strong, only at the mortal level, but their sheer numbers were overwhelming. Endless demons swarmed, instantly overwhelming many warriors and pushing them to the brink. Luckily, the critically injured were teleported out just in time. More and more warriors were eliminated. This was just the first round, yet the trial's true horror was already on full display. Su Chuan stood by the light beam, watching the chaos with cold detachment. The killing sword in his hand was gripped tight. Killing enemies wasn't just about rushing in headfirst, he was a master of the blade. And in this situation, a blade was the perfect weapon. Cut down anything in his path. Clang, that the long sword flashed, instantly tearing apart an incoming sinking demon. Let's go. Our turn. Su Chuan said to Su Miaoyin, a smile playing on his lips. Then, his eyes narrowed, becoming razor sharp. He swung his sword, unleashing waves of sword energy. under the killing god's sword, the demons were paper cutouts, destroyed with a single touch. Su Miaoyin wasn't about to be outdone. With a wave, the true flame of nirvana erupted from her hand, it incinerated hordes of demons. Before long, the warriors had slaughtered all 10,000 sinking demons. Only a fraction remained. Maybe 1 or 2,000 more had been eliminated than survived. 60% of the weaker warriors were gone, and this was just level 1. The trial was even more brutal than they thought. Congratulations. You've completed the first round. The voice echoed again. Then, a leaderboard appeared above the light pillar, ranking the warriors and their scores. Ling Tian topped the list, 3,000 points, he'd killed 3,000 demons in the first round. Su Chuan was 9th, with 1,000 points. Su Miaoyin was a little lower, 11th, with 800. To Su Chuan's surprise, Yang Sheng was 5th, with an impressive 1,800 points. Rewards distributed. That a 500-year-old ginseng appeared in Su Chuan's hand, nothing to write home about, so he tossed it into his storage space. Yang Sheng, meanwhile, got a high-level long sword. Good luck or bad? The group hunting him discovered his prize. They were already fuming, looking for someone to take it out on. Yang Sheng's new earth-level sword made him the perfect target. The leaders' faces darkened, they closed in. Senior brother Zhang, that punk just got another earth-level weapon. He's already strong, and he stole the supreme bone. How low can you go? There are no rules against fighting here. Let's grab the supreme bone and the earth-level sword. Several warriors backing Zhang Yun spoke up. Zhang Yun frowned, then dropped the act. He's right there. Whoever gets him first gets the supreme bone and the sword. Alright. The geniuses competing for the supreme bone immediately agreed. Zhang Yun followed close behind. Senior brother, help. Yang Sheng panicked. There was nowhere to hide. If they caught him, he was dead meat. He begged Su Chuan for help, hoping he could hold them off long enough to escape until the next round. He'd forgotten all about his previous grudge with Su Chuan, but Su Chuan ignored Yang Sheng's plea and watched with amusement as he was chased by the geniuses. The protagonist of Destiny wouldn't be caught so easily. Sure enough, just as Yang Sheng was about to be caught, someone intervened. Who dares to bully my junior brother? A sledgehammer flew out of the darkness, slamming into Zhang Yun and the other geniuses, stopping their attack. Cui Jiang emerged, radiating power. He'd reached the 6th level of nirvana. Zhang Yun's expression turned grave. Cui Jiang, stay out of this. He stole our supreme bone, and he has to pay. Zhang Yun wasn't afraid. He faced Cui Jiang, spear in hand. He knew who Cui Jiang was. So you're the ones chasing me, the true successor of Tai Holy Land? I thought you looked familiar, defeated general. Cui Jiang picked up his sledgehammer. Zhang Yun's face paled. He was at the 9th level of the magical power realm when he fought Cui Jiang, who was at the 8th level. He lost a 2-on-1 fight. It was a humiliation he'd never forgotten. Cui Jiang, tell him to hand over the supreme bone, and we'll let him go. Otherwise, you can't protect him. Zhang Yun said sternly. Humph, come at me. See if you can take him from me. If you've got the guts, try it. If not, get out of my way. Cui Jiang brandished his sledgehammer, daring them to make a move. He wanted to see how strong Zhang Yun and his warriors were. Zhang Yun gritted his teeth, unwilling to risk a fight. He'd have to swallow his pride. He's lucky today. But if he ever leaves this ancient palace, don't let us catch him. Or he's dead. Zhang Yun glared at Yang Sheng, then turned and left. Faced with a core disciple of a major power at the 6th level of Nirvana realm, they could only back down. The others who had been chasing Yang Sheng didn't dare to say a word and followed him away. Chapter 079. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chuan's real power. Hey, Cui Jiang. You're here too. Now that Yang Sheng's problem was taken care of, Su Chuan strolled over to Cui Jiang, the killing god's sword glinting, and greeted him with a smile. He deliberately ignored Yang Sheng, wanting to see how he'd react. Su Miaoyin also saw the people from Yaoqi Holy Land and left Su Chuan's side. Su Chuan, good to see you, Cui Jiang said, smiling back. He and Su Chuan weren't exactly close, but they were both core disciples of Tai Holy Land, so he kept things friendly. That's partly why he helped Yang Xing earlier. Yang Xing, though, was giving Su Chuan the stink eye. He'd asked for help a while ago and gotten nothing, so now he was holding a grudge. Su Chuan just smiled, unsurprised. Yang Xing was acting exactly as he expected. Cui Jiang, we should get ready. The next trial starts soon. Cui Jiang nodded, agreeing with Su Chuan. Right as Su Chuan finished speaking, a thunderous rumble echoed, and the second trial officially kicked off. The area where those demons appeared earlier started churning again. Su Chuan stood tall, the killing god's sword in his grip, and gave a slight nod to the other core disciples from the Holy Lands. Then, a blast of demonic energy shot into the sky. This time, instead of just a few fallen demons, there were at least 20,000 demonic beasts of all kinds. Everything from low-level body-tempering monsters to top-tier magical beasts. Monster beasts are different from demons. They are naturally powerful, often twice as strong as warriors of the same level. Warriors pay a steep price to take them down. When the horde was about 100 miles out, Su Chuan started moving. He needed to rack up points by killing monsters and redeem rewards. He only had 1,000 points right now, nowhere near enough to get those powerful inheritances and treasures. Plus, Su Chuan wanted to fully awaken his martial arts soul in this trial. His sword soul seed was based on the killing sword technique, so he was cultivating a killing sword soul. It would take a mountain of corpses to truly awaken it, and this trial space was all about killing. Those tens of thousands of monsters were the perfect targets. Time to die, Su Chuan bellowed, raising the killing god's sword high. A peculiar aura spread for miles around him. With a thought, countless blades of energy materialized within that space. This was his sword domain, born from his new sword soul seed combined with the killing sword technique. Anyone inside would be hammered by relentless killing sword energy. If they couldn't withstand it, they would die. Perish. He spat out the word, and within the sword domain, every blade of energy sharpened to its peak. Countless deadly swords hovered in the air, waiting for the moment the monsters stepped into the domain. Even though Su Chuan was only at the 5th level of the magical power realm, his sword energy packed the punch of a Nirvana realm attack, more than enough to handle these monsters, none of which were strong enough to reach the peak of supernatural power. Swish, 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 the sword energy came down like divine judgment, instantly mowing down thousands of monsters in the domain, leaving nothing alive. During the slaughter, Su Chuan noticed something. All the corpses of the monsters he killed vanished without a trace, not even leaving their cores. Only the rising points and rankings on the leaderboard confirmed how many monsters Su Chuan had slain. Su Chuan was now at the top, with 4,050 points. With one strike, he'd wiped out over 3,000 monsters of various realms. Instantly, the killing aura and demonic energy around Su Chuan intensified, but Su Chuan knew it wasn't enough. To fully awaken the soul of the Sesho sword, he needed to kill more. Everyone else watched in stunned silence. For a moment, the entire trial space was silent. Then, a wave of shouts exploded. Who is that guy, and how is he so strong? I don't know, but I saw him being friendly with that core disciple from Tai Holy Land. He must be from there, too. Is that what a supernatural power realm fighter should be able to do? That's insane. Su Chuan's display of power completely floored everyone. Even Su Miaoying's eyes sparkled. Many Nirvana realm warriors wondered if they could even survive that kind of attack. Damn it, how can he be this strong? Yang Sheng, trailing behind Cui Jiang, acted calm, but he was seething inside. He couldn't stand Su Chuan being stronger than him. He used to have the remnant soul of a half-emperor and the supreme bone, which made him think he could beat Su Chuan, but now, the remnant soul was dormant, the supreme bone was gone, and Su Chuan had leaped ahead, becoming terrifyingly powerful. His dream of crushing Su Chuan was in tatters. I refuse to accept this. Yang Xing roared in his heart. His hatred for Su Chuan and the person who robbed him burned even hotter. Su Chuan is a beast. Cui Jiang couldn't help but sigh after seeing the attack. Then he hefted his giant hammer and charged toward the monsters. He had already been one-upped by Su Chuan once. He didn't want to fall too far behind. Snapping out of their shock, the other warriors dove back into the fight. Aside from Su Chuan, 3 others stood out. Point 1 was a young man radiating a Taoist aura. With a flick of his wrist, the monsters around him dropped dead. Another was a muscular, shirtless youth, slaughtering his way through the beasts. Every time he threw a punch, dark red runes flashed on his body, and with each blow, monsters were ripped to shreds. The last was a young monk with a strange Zen staff. He chanted sutras, and the monsters attacking him would stop and kneel, as if listening to the Dharma. Then he'd whack them one by one with his staff, never forgetting to say Amitabha at the end. Not to be outdone, Chuan kept racking up the kills. Thanks to these powerhouses, the number of monsters in the trial space started to plummet. It didn't take long for them to be wiped out. After the second trial, the number of warriors in the space dwindled again. Now there were just over 1,000 left. Most of them were warriors above the supernatural realm. Only a few mortal realm fighters had survived the second round by relying on treasures or hiding. As the second trial ended, the rankings on the leaderboard were updated again. Chuan was still in the lead with 8,800 points. Second was the Taoist youth, Ling Tian, with 7,500 points. Third was Wang Teng, the strong young man, with 7,000. Fourth was the little monk, with 6,900 points. Fifth was Cui Jiang, with 6,500 points. As for Yangsheng, whether he was demoralized or not, he had fallen out of the top 20, which was exactly what Chuan wanted. Chapter 080. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, congrats. You aced the second round of trials. Now you get 2 days to chill, practice, and cash in those rewards and inheritances. Oh, and everyone gets a free Huang Ting pill for finishing round 2. The voice echoed, and you could practically hear the collective sigh of relief, followed by a surge of excitement. After 2 brutal trials, hacking through hordes of demons, most of the warriors were running on fumes. Another round like that, and there wouldn't be many of us left standing. Plus, nobody saw that Huang Ting pill coming. That's practically the holy grail for Nirvana warriors trying to break into the reincarnation realm. Everyone knows you gotta flirt with death to make that leap. It's a life or death gamble. Screw it up, and you're stuck in Nirvana forever, or worse, you kick the bucket trying. But a Huang Ting pill. That stuff helps you find a loophole, a tiny sliver of hope in the face of death. It's pure gold on the outside market. Even if you didn't need it, you could sell it for a fortune in yuan stones. So yeah, people were pretty stoked, and now, they could use their points to snag some sweet inheritance or rewards. Things were about to get real. I got 1,000 points burning a hole in my pocket. Time for some inheritance. Ha! I'm sitting on 3,000. Just enough for that Earth-level weapon I've been eyeing. I need a pill to break through. Saw just the one on the exchange list. That the place buzzed with energy as everyone who'd clawed their way through the trial started scrolling through the exchange list, hunting for that perfect upgrade. Meanwhile, the slackers who mostly coasted through were kicking themselves. They barely scrapped together any points, not enough to get anything worthwhile. Chuan watched it all, cool and collected. He had the most points by a mile. He pulled up the exchange list, ready to grab a new sword technique. The killing sword technique was decent, but it was just something some peak Nirvana warrior whipped up before he died. Wasn't cutting it anymore. He needed a serious upgrade to unlock his true martial arts soul. He could feel he was on the verge, and a killer sword technique was just the ticket. Chuan scanned the list, hoping to find something that fit the bill and wouldn't break the bank. 9,000 points was the limit. Finally, jackpot. He found it, the god-killing sword technique. An inheritance left by a legendary swordsman emperor, top-tier stuff, a low-grade heaven-level skill, and it only cost 8,500 points. Perfect. His eyes lit up. He locked onto the list and said without hesitation, I'll take the god-killing sword technique inheritance. That this god-killing sword technique had a similar feel to the killing sword technique. Like they were cut from the same cloth, makes sense. The Nirvana warrior who came up with the killing sword technique must have been a descendant of this swordsman emperor or stumbled upon some part of his legacy. Explains why the two techniques clicked so well. With this new sword technique, Chuan was sure he could unlock his martial arts soul, pronto. Your wish is my command. That the voice in his head was as emotionless as ever. Chuan was used to it. We will stop updating novels on this site, move to our new site, https://readwn.com// As soon as the voice faded, Chuan froze. Suddenly, the entire god-killing sword technique inheritance flooded his brain. On the leaderboard, Chuan's name, which had been sitting pretty at number 1, vanished in an instant. Let's see what this god-killing sword technique can do. Chuan's eyes flashed. He took a few deep breaths, dove into his mind, and reached out to touch the inheritance. As soon as his consciousness made contact, a vision exploded in his head. Boom! He saw the silhouette of a massive swordsman. Unlike the House Sun Divine Fist before, this image was crystal clear. The swordsman seemed to sense someone poking around and whirled around, slashing at Chuan's consciousness. The sheer killing intent and destructive aura were overwhelming. Chuan felt like he was staring death in the face. This is the kind of technique the Emperor's senior realm masters used. Horrified, Chuan scrambled to activate his sword's soul seeds, ready to block the artistic conception packed into that sword strike. Boom! The explosion rocked him. The blade slammed into his sword's soul seeds in his mind. Agonizing pain shot through Chuan's skull. He was instantly drenched in sweat. Junior brother Su, you okay? Need a hand? Seeing the pain etched on Chuan's face, Cui Jiang rushed over, concern etched on his features. I'm good. Just diving into the inheritance. Thanks for the offer, senior brother. Chuan fought back the throbbing pain and waved off Cui Jiang. Painful as it was, this was something he had to go through on his own. What a terrifying sword technique. It feels like it wants to obliterate my entire mind and soul. But in that moment, Chuan's eyes burned brighter than ever. This was all the proof he needed of the sword technique's sheer power. Again, after absorbing as much as he could from that first encounter, Chuan reached out to touch the inheritance again. If anyone saw what he was doing, they'd call him insane. Most people take inheritances slow and steady. Nobody rushes headfirst into them like this. It was fast, sure, but one wrong move, and Chuan could end up a drooling idiot. So, tired. After countless repetitions, Chuan felt completely drained. His qi reserves were empty, and his muscles screamed in protest, but on the flip side, he'd managed to completely digest the god-killing sword technique and learn this heaven-level move created by a freaking Emperor senior realm expert. And even crazier, the inheritance had cracked open the sword's soul seed. Now he was truly fired up. Ignoring the agony racking his body, he immediately sat down in a meditative pose and started practicing. He was one step away from unlocking the sword's soul seed. Time to face the inner demons of martial arts. A flash of white light, and Chuan felt his vision fade to black. When he opened his eyes again, the world around him had changed completely. Dazed, Chuan seemed to be watching all of Xiantian going to war. Fighting and chaos were everywhere. Countless powerhouses clashed, each battle shaking the very foundations of reality. Endless hordes of weaker beings were caught in the crossfire, dying in droves. The ground was slick with blood, and the air choked with murderous intent and evil energy. Anyone witnessing this hellscape would be paralyzed with fear, but Chuan's heart remained calm. The evil energy and murderous aura didn't even register. The strong prey on the weak. That's just the way things are. So, what was there to be afraid of? With that mindset, Chuan strolled through the mountains of corpses and rivers of blood, like he was just taking a casual stroll through a garden.